I'd like to begin this video dedicating it in tribute to my dog Bear Satterfield. He, on November 19th, 2025, passed over to the other side because of cancer that spread to his bones and vital organs, and fluids that were on his said organs were making life untenable. In the end, he mattered more than Charlie Kirk. We had him 9 years. He had been alive for 11 and a half. In fact, he was alive longer than Margaret Thatcher had been in power. Obviously, not at the same time. January, I started donating plasma, and I almost died, not from the plasma, but from the anaphylaxis. I have suffered many anaphylaxis attacks. I have not suffered one since. February, I moved out of my old apartment, and I'm glad because I almost didn't make it while I lived there twice, and paramedics were incompetent, and they can't fit a gurney through the door. So, March, I started watching a lot of international elections, and I have a lot of fun doing that, even though time zones mean I might not be able to watch it as it happens, but I observe campaigns, and I love politics, foreign and domestic. April, I started a new job. I like my coworkers. They're good people. And the ones I don't like don't last long because they're terrible. May, I got a skin test done, and they found that I went from having at least 30 allergens to 2 food allergens and a couple others that are not food related, thankfully. So I can have queso again. I can have all sorts of food again. There's just certain types I still can't have, but I can live without. June and July, I started, just preparing for like kind of coming out of my social shell. Because I like debating. I like to argue respectfully. July, I took a vacation. And I really can't wait for the next one. August and September, again, just keeping an eye on politics, but not letting it consume me. I'm honestly happy with, I have goals for 2026, but I'm going to do everything I can within reason to achieve them. But, politically, this has not been a fun year. Donald Trump returns to the White House. Anytime he does anything, and his team will pull it back. So it's like, you can't expect any competence from the White House. They are very corrupt, self-serving. Elon Musk was basically prime minister, even though that's not a real position. He basically was this country's prime minister. Anytime they said, we found fraud, turns out it wasn't as much as they said it would be. Anytime they said, we cut something, and then they needed to uncut it, they didn't uncut it. It's like there's no governing competence. And anyone who voted for this president is responsible for every bad thing they do because they were told over and over again, he isn't going to change. He is not going to be competent. You'd be out of your mind to think he's going to change. And they voted for him anyway, so I have no compassion for anyone that suffers under this president when they voted for him. If they want compassion, then stop voting for MAGA candidates. Vote for literally any political party on the ballot. I don't give a damn. But don't cry to me when he snatches up your relatives after you were told over and over again he is a racist degenerate, and he will sick his fascist ICE agents after you with no due process under the law. They say it wasn't about race. Yet, read their statements and their comments about who they want in this country, and you know damn well they lied. The MAGA world showed how depraved it is because in Minnesota, this white woman who looks like a tweaker called a Somalian child, I think he was Somalian at least, she called him the you-know-what word over and over and over again. And she got $1 million in donations or some crazy amount. Anyone who donated to her is irredeemably racist, and anyone who defends those donations is as well. There was no justification for that behavior. Yes, children can be very annoying. We all were children at one point. That doesn't justify racially abusing them. Then the MAGA movement again shows how fucked up they are when they were defending Trump over the Epstein files. I mean, granted, some of them walked away or have been critical over the matter, but it's like, you voted for this. He has been friends with Jeff Epstein for a long time. He has had a history of inappropriate comments about women and girls. Allegedly, he got freaky with Bill Clinton, which honestly, I don't even care if it's true or not. It's hilarious, and I'm going to believe it's true because it is hilarious. Say whatever you want. But I can totally believe it. With regard to Charlie Kirk, whatever happened there, he was a podcaster. I mean, that doesn't justify what happened to him. What happened shouldn't have happened, but whatever happened there didn't justify this wave of censorship. I mean, he is such a beloved man. They had to make mourning him mandatory when jokes about what happened to him. People celebrating what happened is not a crime. You can disagree with people celebrating. I disagree on the grounds that, if it's not okay to joke about what happened to Paul Pelosi, and I personally think it is abhorrent to joke about it because he didn't do anything to deserve what happened to him, and I'm not saying Charlie Kirk did anything to deserve what happened to him, but I'm not going to feel compassion for a guy whose statements were explicitly racist. And quoting him, some of the quotes were out of context, yes, but sometimes even with full context didn't make it much better. With regard to Irina Zarutska, I probably butchered it, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to. That was objectively horrible, and it's proof that some people are not fit to be in society. With regard to the government shutdown, that was a total waste of time. Nothing changed. November, the Democrats swept the elections. Yeah, sure, they had blue waves in blue states, but they did really well, even in red and purple states, breaking Republican supermajorities, flipping certain seats they hadn't won in decades. For the first time since I was born, there will be a Democrat as mayor of Miami. Democrats have a lot of power in Virginia. They have some types of power as a minority party in Iowa, Mississippi. I'm probably forgetting some states, but if you're a Democrat, you probably know it better than I do where exactly it happened, even though I am a political junkie. Then you got stuff like, Donald Trump making fun of Rob Reiner for what happened to him. And even some MAGAs thought that was going too far. And, it's like you wanted mass censorship and deplatforming and firing over Charlie Kirk. And yes, in 2016, a lot of people who would call themselves left-wing or liberal, depending on how you define those terms, advocated the same things, and they were wrong then, and they'd be wrong now. There is no such thing as hate speech. There is no legal term for it, and there should never be. And I think the universal consensus by now is that, yes, people say unpopular stuff all the time, but if you do not want the state to be sent after you, you shouldn't want it sent after anyone else. But I'm hoping for next year to be a not Republican wave. I'm hoping any party but the Republicans win because they have shown they can't govern. They cannot rein in a president who ignores court orders that he doesn't like, will use ICE after people he thinks are here illegally when he does not have proof they're here illegally. He does certain stuff to boats without proof that they are bringing stuff that is dangerous here, even though they'd have to refill their boats 20 times to get from Venezuela to the United States. A man who is thinking about pardoning Benjamin Netanyahu. A man who is friends with Jeffrey Epstein. A man who is an adjudicated batterer. There is nothing moral about being a MAGA. There is nothing just about it. There is nothing logical. There's nothing factual. There's nothing positive. It is a movement of grifters, losers, and suckers, and anyone who still thinks that he's doing a great job has drunk too much of the Kool-Aid, or they have not yet drunk the final batch. Whatever happens there, not my problem. Anyway, I'll see you in 2026.